Good morning. Oh, it is blooming freezing. On that note, wait a sec, let me put the heating on. It is cold. Oh, it's so cold. This morning so far we have been to the GP to see the doctor because Lila has a cough in the night time but not in the daytime, and her daddy was worried, so I took the baby to the doctor. The baby is fine. Yay for that. What else? It's so cold out there. So I'm wearing this lovely knitwear I made ages ago. Isn't it pretty? With this little turtleneck. I do love a white turtleneck. I didn't make this one. This was just a cheap one I got somewhere in desperation one year when it was cold. It's doing me a good turn today. And I do love me a yoke. Isn't that pretty? Now, what am I doing today? I feel like we've got a bit of a lemon situation in the kitchen and they're taking over. So I feel like we should maybe use them. Yeah, I feel like we should use them. I bought unwaxed lemons to go in the jars, and then I bought waxed lemons because they were cheaper, just not unwaxed. It doesn't say waxed, but it doesn't say unwaxed, so I'm assuming they're waxed, for the juice. And I'm going to make preserved lemons. Oh, it's so easy, and it takes no heat because you just have to cut the lemon in 4, like 2 cuts, but keeping it held together on one end, pack it with salt, put it in a jar, and then top it up with lemon juice. What could be easier? And I can't remember how long it takes. Maybe a month? Maybe longer. And they kind of pickle themselves, they preserve themselves, which is brilliant, and those are going to be some Christmas gifts. I've got some nice big mayonnaise jars. I only need to make one for my Uncle Peter, one for my friend Katie, and then one for me. So I need 3 big jars. These unwaxed lemons are quite large, so I think I still got too many, but seeing as it's blooming freezing, I might make myself some honey and lemon drink. My favourite is a couple of slices of lemon, a nice big spoon of honey, some grated ginger, bit of spice, and a sprig of mint. Very nice. You can also put a bit of, if you're one for an alcoholic drink, a nice brown, I don't know, like a cognac or a brandy, or a cachaça, just a little bit of that. And I don't put the alcohol in it actually, but it's very tasty. And some people do like that bit of brandy when they're not feeling very well. They put it in a hot drink. Maybe it works. I'm sure it's good before bedtime to just knock you out through the night. So 2 lemons will not go to waste. And I want to start making that dress today. My clay is not dry, so that will not be done. And I'll show you my album, my photo album I've been working on. I did a bit of it yesterday. I stitched my pages together. They had already been stitched together, but I undid the stitching and then redid it. Don't be afraid to go back into a project and redo if you're not happy. Equally, you also need to be able to let things go. So it's like this balancing act, isn't it? Identify when something is going to really bother you and fix it. But equally, don't sweat the small stuff and move on with your life. Difficult balance. I really fancy a nice chicken curry. And my slow cooker is crying out to have a curry in it. JC does not like a curry. Let's see, Daddy doesn't like a curry. It's because he doesn't like a rice. He doesn't like rice. What's that? Is that lemons? Can you show the screen the lemons? Come on, show everybody the lemons. You was good for the doctor, weren't you? She listened in your ear holes. And you just looked at her like she was crazy. And then she's put a stethoscope on your back to listen to your lungs. There was no crackles. And you were not happy about that, but you didn't say anything. You didn't say anything. You're so cute. You're a little terror. You're a little terror. But no one would know from that little face. Happy Christmas. Happy Christmas. The holidays keep ringing. Happy holidays for you. That's an old lemon. We won't use that one. Do you want that one? I bet you'll love a honey and lemon drink. You love a nice drink out of a teacup, don't you? Yeah. Risky business giving out of a teacup. That could go everywhere. Oh, look at this little tum-tum. Look at this little tum-tum. You've got so many layers, but none of them are done up because the doctor undid them. Lemon. Can you say lemon? Lemon. Can you say duck? Azil. Can you say hong ho? Oh. Hong ho. Yum yum. You can't really eat it. You can't really eat it, can you? Oh, we like those preserved lemons, and then we'll do a preserved chicken and lemon. Preserved lemon and chicken tagine. We can do that in January or February. That will be very nice, won't it? You could also just go to your supermarket and buy preserved lemons. But that's no fun. That's no fun at all. And it's got olives in it, the tagine. Oh dear. Look, this is the whole of my house. I'm in the kitchen, and in through that door, just next to it, is the front door. That's the whole house. Tiny house. Lila, whatever you're considering doing, don't do it. Don't do it. So I'm done. Good little half-an-hour craft. Lemons were cut in quarters but kept at the very end to hold together. A spoon of salt in each one and then crammed into the jars, covered with lemon juice, and finally I topped it off with some chili flakes and peppercorns because it looked pretty. And if I had bay leaves, I'd have popped a few bay leaves in there as well, just for a bit of greenery. And yeah, these are ready to go. I'll have to check on the recipe how long. Sorry, looking for my phone. And you've got it over there. Yeah, so that was a good craft. It does take a while to mature, but there we are. All those lemons gave me a massive beetroot jar full, a medium mayonnaise jar full, and the monster mayonnaise jar full. I think they look good. Once they've got a little frilly top on, they'll look marvellous. So yeah, very happy with that. Now let's go do some tracing. That really only took me half an hour, so I'm pleased with that. And I cannot find my evening dress anywhere, which I wanted to copy. I really don't think I would have thrown that away. I can't imagine why I would have done that. I will have put it somewhere safe. You know what it's like, safe. And not to be found for many years. That's how safe it is. I do have, actually, thinking about it, a pattern that I could use, which has a grown-on sleeve. It's got a beautiful neckline. It's meant to be buttoned down, but I could get rid of that. And it's got peplum on it with a seam at the waist. And I could just omit the peplum and attach a skirt to it. So I think that would give me almost exactly the same style. And then the skirt was just a rectangle, and then I think it had 2 tucks here on each side and 2 on the back. But I can look at a photo. I don't know if it's the best idea, to be honest, to do just like a big long rectangle and stitch it along the bum, because then you don't have any option really for letting in and taking out. Whereas if you've got side seams plus a centre back, you've got more wiggle room. Although if I make it in satin, let's be honest, you cannot let out satin very easily. It does mark. So, I don't know. The fabric's not even here. I'm talking as if this dress is like a done deal. I ordered the fabric. No update on the shipping. Who knows? Who knows when it's going to get here, if it's going to get here. But it is beautiful. Let's just assume I'm making it. And it's the casual one we're going to do today, which is the kind of flared skirt and the fitted pinafore top, which I can wear with little things like this underneath it. And maybe I was thinking red lipstick and red nail polish, because I'll be off work. I've got 1 more week of work next week and then I'm off for Christmas. And maybe a nice brooch, a little cardigan on the shoulders. You see, thinking it through. Even some colourful tights might be nice. I don't know. Red tights with a grey and tealy dress. I don't have any red tights, but I could buy some red tights. That would look cool. Maybe a red hair ribbon. I know. You took it too far. I took it too far. What can I say? You have to do a Chanel, didn't she say? Not that I take Chanel's word for it, because I'm all about a bit extra. But you're meant to take off the last thing you put on. And actually with me, that's very good advice, because I can just keep going. Just a little bit more. Just another little accessory. And then I look in the mirror and I think, what have I done? So sometimes I don't even bother with the accessories, because I have no stop filter. I don't know when enough is enough. Anyway, let's go upstairs. You got to look with your eyes, you know. Sometimes I look for things and they're not there. They're just not there. And then I look for them another time and they are there. Anyway, let's pop this on. God. Goodness me, it's creased. Look how creased that is. Anyway. So, things I liked about it. I liked the neckline. It was a soft, gentle curve, which you can either do jewellery or not jewellery, and it looks good. doesn't actually have grown on sleeve like I thought it did, but very flattering, nicely wide. Grabs this bit, which my friend would really appreciate. She likes things when yeah, it creates, because it comes off the shoulder, although this is on, this is off, it creates that nice V shape. Again, ignoring the creases, sorry about that. I was going to iron it before you. Have you seen the pile of washing down there that needs to... Okay, and then I've got a back zip. I've got a dart here and here. I've got a dart. No bust dart. Just these darts here. Blooming miracle that it fits. Mike, it's a Christmas miracle. Yeah, and then this skirt, it's got 2 pleats. One's in line with the little dart there. There's no side seam. However, hard to see, there is a dart that goes from the bottom to my hip line. Okay, I added that. I remember now, I added that dart because it was just straight and it had a bit of a frump to it, and I wanted... You're gonna fall over now. I wanted that little bit more slim. It's still plenty room. And then what's going on in the back? Oh yeah, no vent. All right, now I added a panel in the back. Did I add a panel in the back? Where's the panel? I added this panel in the back. Look at that. It looks good on camera, doesn't it, that panel? Oh, can't not really see it that much. Now, when I wore this dress, I wore it to a ball and I made this massive skirt to go on with a belt here, and it was pleated here and then it went across. I looked like the evil stepmother from Cinderella, but the one that's played by Kate Blanchett. And it just pulled to the back. Oh, it was glorious. And couldn't see the panel in the back. So, okay, I'm feeling happy now. This is how it's gonna, yeah. Oh, it's so shiny. I look like a Christmas bauble that's been taken out of storage and it's very wrinkly. Okay, I can sit in it. I'll try it on in my bedroom. I might go a bit longer on the length because when you sit down it's really jumping up. And I'm not going to make a train to go on the back for this pink one, red one. Okay, I know that taking this apart and using it as a pattern, some people might find that offensive with a vintage dress. This dress is destroyed and it's not coming across on camera, but there are so many damages, really bad stains, not that I've done, but that are just were there when I bought it, and I clearly didn't care and wore it anyway. And I've tried to wash this dress, but it has some weird coating on it that makes it like waterproof. The water doesn't like it, it just like rolls off the top. I soaked it, it came out dry. It's like magical. It's a magical fabric. All right. Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm happy. I can unpick this and use this for a pattern very easily. I don't have any lining. I have to buy lining maybe. I usually would line a bodice, which would avoid me having to do like a facing, because then if I do a facing, which would go here, probably round into the armhole, I'd probably do an all-in-one facing. You have to hand stitch it down to stop it like flopping out, and then you can see my little tiny hand tacks that would run along the very bottom. And in satin, it's not good enough. So in the meantime, we are going to work on this one. Ooh, this one. I pinned it on that mannequin to try and get a gist for how I felt like that style would be, because I don't usually wear that style of skirt, and I was really aiming towards something that looks chic but comfortable. And as much as I love a slim pencil skirt, which this would be, this is not an everyday dress, and I will not be crawling on the floor in this dress after a toddler. So I'm happy with it. I've seen it for a few days sitting there on the mannequin with this kind of A shape, and I'm pretty happy with it. I think we're going to go for that. I've got 3 meters of it and it's very wide, so I think I should have enough. If I don't, that will be a catastrophe, but let's just go for it. I'm going to trace off the bodice and the skirt and make the pattern, and then I think I will compare that pattern to something else that fits me well and just like measure my measurements against all the different areas, the bust, the waist, the depth of the arm, all of that. And then I'll see if I want to make a twirl or I want to risk it. Of the way through, I've done the front and back of the skirt so far. This is the pattern. So this is the skirt, which I like that it's quite fitted through the hip, and then you've got the fullness, but it's definitely not a circle skirt. I don't think it's going to have that much fullness on the bottom, to be honest, but that's fine. Illustrations are always a little bit more, well, they lie to you, don't they? Anyway, that's the pattern that I'm using for the skirt, and I cut myself, I think it told me to cut the 20, I cut the 18, and I've added a 1/4 inch here extra on both side seams, which gives me an extra inch through the waist. The hip is free, the hip doesn't even matter. And actually I feel like I might actually need to take it in, but because I feel that that wool is going to stretch, but I'd rather have the extra there available and take it in than have to then try and let it out and try and squeeze out a little tiny bit of extra from this seam and from this seam, and then the same on the other pieces. So, you know, I do like with wool to have a good seam allowance. We've got a bit of mess here going on. Let's start on the bodice. That's the bodice I'm using because I like the neckline, I like the armhole. It's just this part here that I don't like, which is a bit ruched. So that I will change. I think if it was a fine fabric like this, it would look nice. I just think that this in a thick wool would look really weird. So I think she maybe wearing a linen there, and it works really well, but it won't work for the fabric I've chosen. So there we are. It's from this book. I've used this a few times. Her stuff fits my proportions quite nicely. So got all my patterns. Now I get to try and find the right one. Ooh. See if we can find it. I'll trace that off, and I think that's all I'm gonna manage today. We'll see. I'm gonna twirl the top because I know I need to do that. And I have measured the skirt at the waist and added a tiny bit extra through the side seams. I've measured it through the hips, and I know that it will fit me. It's also a smidgen longer than I would think I need, so I'm not going to twirl that skirt. I know, it could bite me in the bum, but I'm not going to bother. I am going to do the top, and I will do some amendments to the top, I think in the pattern first, and then twirl it. We'll see. I'll show you any twirl on me wearing it so you can see what I've done to it. But the skirt was very, very easy. All I did was that tiny smidgen extra on the sides. Alright, I've just traced off the front and back, and as you may be able to see, this is the back piece. We've got a centre back here, which will have seam allowance down the back. It was starting to flare out, I assume, for the hip, and I'm assuming
I don't know where the waist would be. Maybe this is the waistline. But I've just cut off a wedge there. So it is quite straight. And then for the front, I've copied it off as is. And then in the book it says to change the sweetheart neckline, which is this outer line, you just put your pattern cutting, what have I got? I got the triangle, the set square, and you just line up your straight line in the middle to get a 90 degree. Anyway, yep, to get a line across here and then match up the shoulder to create this corner here, and that's all we have to do. And it says specifically this lowest point. So that's done. I've checked that the bust point is in the right area of the width, but the distance I'll have to see in a toile. Then I did the same thing on this that I did on the back, and I just cut away this little curved portion. I don't know how far the waist is going to be, maybe here. And I think I've cut the back longer than the front. But anyway, at this point it doesn't actually matter. I've got a front piece, I've got a back piece. I can now do a toile stitching it together, and then that information I gain from this toile, I can then adjust onto here. I think I'm going to need a dart here to take out some of that width here. So it will come in here, we'll see. I think I'll also need to take in further on here, but I'll pin that on my body. Same as this one, I think it'll need a dart somewhere in here, and this side will have to go in as well. I'm going to have to fit it on myself. I could go to my friend's house. She used to work with me doing fitting. So if I needed to, I could literally run round one morning or evening and make her pin it for me. So that is a luxury, but I don't usually take advantage of that, to be honest. I just suffer on my own doing it. I think pattern cutting all done. Come at it fresh tomorrow, and then I can work a bit more on my scarf, because that scarf is not going to knit itself, and I think the last time I counted it's got 14 more colours, and I didn't do any yesterday. I was too tired after work, so I've allocated 3 colours per day. Didn't do any yesterday. Now I've got 6 to do today. I had better get knitting with that. It's quite cold today, but we needed milk, so we come out, haven't we? We come out for a little walk. What have you got there? It's our magic star. It snowed a little last night, so just a little dusting, just a little sprinkle. I got a slice of cake from the cafe, and we're gonna go home and you can have a little nap. Look how cosy you are in there. Do you want another magic star? Seeing as I got myself a treat, I did get her a little treat. Ooh. Can I reach them? Oh, yeah. Just the little one. Oh dear. Your little neck warmer is very dirty. That's alright, there's acrylic, it can be washed in the machine. Oh yeah, I am wrapped up super warm, so many layers. My sleeves are a bit too short on my coat for this cardigan, but anyway, we're gonna have a little walk home and then we can get our crafting on. Oh, it's such a bright, lovely day. See, can you see the sun in the background? I can't see what I'm showing. Anyway, see you soon. Oh, what a glorious day. Oh, the sunshine is streaming in that window. That is just lovely. I feel exhausted, my goodness. All I did was go down and get some milk and a slice of... Oh, I forgot there was a slice of cake. What do we bet that will be left in my buggy's compartment until tomorrow. Anyway, it'll be fine. Lovely. I made myself a nice little hot chocolate as a treat. Today I've got on my Whitmore cardigan, which I made in last year's Vlogmas, but didn't finish on time. And oh, it's so beautiful. I've got to say, people tend towards these darker tones in the autumn winter, and I love all the tweedy leaf colours, the wools, really rich tones in the autumn. But by the time winter comes along and everything's a little bit bleak and there's no trees, there's no leaves on the trees anymore, I feel like those colours somehow just not cutting it anymore, if you know what I mean. I feel like the world has been devoid of colour and we need that little pop just of something cheery, and it just lifts my spirit. Also, I think this is I think this must be the warmest knit that I have ever made. It's the yarn from Dandelion and Dogwood in their maraschino cherry colour, and it's such a beautiful shade, and it's 2 yarns held together, the fingering weight and the mohair silk, and it is so warm. I'm really happy with it. Let me take a step back. Oh, and I wanted to show you my my dress. It's the Alborg by How to Do Fashion, and I've not made anything from them before, but this particular dress, it just really jumped out at me, and I do like what they try and do with that brand of patterns. It's all about kind of dressing yourself in what you want to wear, creating this wardrobe of kind of classic elegance. So there's a vintage flair, but not in any kind of costumey way. Like, they just completely fit into any modern wardrobe. So it's a wrap. Yeah, so you've got the wrap style that crosses over, and the other side goes through here, crosses through at the waist, and it's beautiful. It's really swishy in the viscose. I would definitely recommend viscose to make this dress, and it's got this beautiful little bishop sleeve which is lovely and smooth through the sleeve head, and then it's got a little bit of swish to it with a narrow cuff. So I did a few amendments. Just offhand, I remember I did do a toile just of the top half, and it was weird in the back. And the reason it was weird in the back, it was kind of rippling through my back. The reason was because this neckline in the back was too narrow and it wouldn't sit at my neck, and it was kind of, something was just wrong. So all I did was I just reshaped and like cut out a portion from here, and that sorted out all the back to be flat. That was perfect. I don't think I touched the arm, so that fit my generous bicep in immediately. I also added, okay, so I think if you've got a smaller bust size, your bras can have a wire which is like here. Mine has got a wire which is like, look at that. It's very necessary, don't get me wrong, but it means that anything plunging, you see the top, and I would really rather you didn't. So I added like an extra wedge, like nothing and then something and then fading to nothing. Now, if I wore a little vest underneath, it would hold it out perfectly and cross it over really nicely. But without a vest underneath, there's nothing to create that barrier. So each side just goes in until it meets resistance, which is then your like rib cage in the middle. So that's kind of annoying. But I mean, I'm quite tall, so no one's going to be looking down from above. can't really notice it. If it was cold, I probably could even wear like a little turtleneck in black underneath. I think that would be really cute. What else did I do? Oh yeah, the biggest thing that I didn't like about this pattern is I made it with the facing, and the facing was cut on a different grain than the outer. It doesn't work. I don't know how anyone can make that work. It just doesn't. So it's got a narrow binding, and then you're meant to leave the binding just on the edge. But I turned it under and did a top stitch on my machine. That way you don't have a mismatch of prints, like the print is going all the way to the edge, whereas if you have a binding, even if I did it in the same fabric, it's cut on the bias, so it wouldn't be quite matching. So I was really happy with that. That just means that it lays really smooth, whereas with the facing, I was getting lines coming off it and it just looked terrible. Plus it was in a thicker fabric, a little bit thicker, more sturdy, so it should have laid flatter, if you know what I mean. It was like quite a safe fabric choice for a toile. Not too thick, not too thin, not too drapey. It should have just shown just like really nice. It should have laid really flat when it was pressed, and because you're pulling it and those two lines are crossing over, it was just distorting. So I would definitely do the binding. And you can either do a wide waist tie, or you can like bind around the edge and then make the thin binding longer. So you've got these long thin ties. Well, I was just worried I'd snap one. So I did the waist ties, and then I've just kind of stitched them on. I stitched them on, and then I did the binding along the edge, and then the top stitch just kind of finished it off. The skirt is also quite clever because in the front of the skirt, where you have the overlap, it's folded onto the inside, and I really like that because some fabrics like this one look different on the inside than they do on the outside, right? Because it's printed on the front and then the dye or whatever has seeped through the fabric, but not perfectly. So this is actually folded at the top into the inside so that there's no like rolling. If it does slightly roll, you see just a flash of the outer fabric. It's not perfect. Depending on how windy it is, you might get a little flap of it, but I just like that look through the waistline, that it's tucked into itself. It just makes for a neater finish and a softer feel. Anyway, someone had asked about it, and I just wanted to make sure that you could see the dress and what I'd done. And yeah, I did have to do only very minimal things. I think I changed the bust start maybe down 1 centimetre. Literally just... That was it. It was a very nice, easy make, and I could just make so many of these. Except my Jason, he said it looks like a mum dress. I was most insulted. Unless you mean a mum like Lorelei Gilmore. If you're a Gilmore Girls fan, which I'm very happy with. And this is a very Lorelei Gilmore dress, except she'd wear a very fitted sleeve and a knee-high boot. When I watched Gilmore Girls the first time, I watched it on, we had like a Sky subscription thing when I was a kid. And I was the same age as Rory Gilmore, the daughter. And now I'm the same age as Lorelei. How did that happen? And one day I'll wake up, I'll be watching it, and I'll realise I'm closer in age to Emily. Oh! I'm actually really looking forward to being that age because I'm going to be sassy. Oh, I'm going to be sassy. Anyway, sorry if that was a bit much. 10 minutes talking about my little outfit, but that dress just needed to be talked about. I would definitely do it in a viscose. It just worked out so perfectly. There are lots of other fabrics I'm sure you could use, but a viscose has got that swish And in the autumn, winter, when you're walking about, you've got that swish. Okay, I'm going to sit in the window and I think I'm going to put on a Christmas film and drink my hot chocolate. And then all I'm going to do to my pattern, I've decided, following on from yesterday, I'm just going to take out a pattern from my stash that I've used before that is already traced in my size, and I'm just going to lay it on top and get just a feel for that bust to waist, that portion. And I might just copy roughly, and maybe a little dart in there, just so I've got a better starting point for it. And then I'm just gonna make that toile, and I will be back with you to show off how fabulous or how awful it looks, either way. I just hope it comes out well. You know, when you've got this image in your mind, and I've quite often done that in the past, and it turns out not what I expected at all. And then I put it away and I think, oh, I ruined it. Just didn't come out how I wanted it. And then somehow I find it sometime later. Could be a couple of weeks later. Could be that same time next year. And I put it on and I think, ooh, what was I complaining about? I don't know what's up with that. That has happened to me multiple times. Ooh. I bought very cheap marshmallows from the corner shop because that's all they had. Just saying, you can taste the difference. You can taste the difference. Definitely going to have to get some better marshmallows. They're not cutting it. All right, let's see what we can do for today. This beautiful sunny day. So we got our first toile. I've turned under, I edge stitched the edge of my seam allowance, and I've pressed it under, and I've put in my darts. Are they in the right place? No. Alright, so that can come down by half an inch. Yeah, that can come down half an inch. That can come down half an inch. But other than that, I haven't turned in that part. I think that's a good width. One thing I personally like to pay attention to is if any bra straps show in the armhole as well. Which it won't. I can feel my bra is here. I don't know, what do I think? What do we think? It's a little bit loose, I suppose, in the waist. How are we on this side? Okay. Side seam. Oh, I'm popping open with the pins. I've stitched this together with scraps of fabric. I try and go with something like, for this, something a little that's got a bit of stiffness, and this is just leftovers. I think do I need? I think it's literally fine. I'm going to whack a zip in the centre back, and I also might add extra seam allowance on the centre back because I have made things in a thicker fabric before, and the thickness of the fabric can sometimes make them a little bit tighter. Like once you've got the seam allowance on the inside, that seam allowance is a bit chunky. Sometimes things feel tighter in a very thick fabric compared to a lightweight one because the seam allowance inside are taking up quite a lot of space. So if I'd have made this in a wearable toile, this would have been wearable. I'm getting a little bit of a... I'm going to put that zip in the back, just roughly, and then I might let out here at the bust line because this should be straight and it's curving here. With the fullness of the bust, it's curving around and you want that to lay straight. In which case I could do a full bust adjustment or I could just add extra space on the sides. Because actually the distance through here is fine. That's laying, well, anyway, let's get that zip in and we'll have a look. I don't know, I'm tempted maybe to lift the shoulders only on the outside seam or maybe just let out on the inside. But I feel like that needs to be a sloped seam to avoid this. Although I haven't trimmed into the armhole. I don't think I want a tighter armhole than that. Oh, if anything, I could maybe make the armhole bigger. I have to remember it's a pinafore dress, but I'm not making it as a dress. I'm making it to wear over something else. And a pinafore dress would have a lower armhole in order to fit clothing underneath. If it's too tight, if it's too close to you, you're not going to fit like an extra sweater underneath. But that's not a bad first 12, really. Not a bad one. Let's whack a plain zipper in just so we can zip it up and get a really good look. I'm still going. Alright, I'm going to nip out a tiny bit through here to nothing there, like a little wedge. And that gives me a flatter finish. I like the height of this, I think that's nice. I like the width of the sleeve. As I said, I'm just going to make these slightly lower. That's fine. Let me move you. The back doesn't need anything, basically. It's perfect. Like literally perfect. I've let out the sides. And I'm going to let that down all the way, but then I'm going to take in under the bust. I don't know, maybe I should give even more. I think what I'll do is I'll just add extra seam allowance on the sides, because where this fits nice with the cotton, I'm going to want a little bit of extra room in the wool, but the wool might stretch out, so that's fun, working that out, isn't it? Anyway, once that's pulled down, Where's the waistline? Yeah, that sits in the right place. So I just pull my tights up. So I'm just going to add some seam allowance to the bottom because it sits where I want it to finish and there's no seam allowance on that. So I think I'm happy. I need to add a bit of seam allowance here, do this part, do that extra dart, add extra for the side seams. I'm going to add an extra seam allowance for the back. Those darts ended up being just spot on. I'm not going to do a second twirl. I know, I could do a second twirl, but I'm not going to. I think the correct thing to do would be to keep going until you make one that is spot on. Oh, I might actually lower the armhole. 1/2 inch. Yeah, I'm going to lower the armhole. Oh, wait, I'm not going to draw through, it'll go through to my bra. No, that'll prick me. Yeah, I think you should keep going with the twirls until you get one that's spot on, but this is good enough. I actually really like it as a summer dress as well. That would be really nice. I'll keep this pattern and then I can whip myself up one of these for the summer. And actually I've got a white and yellow gingham and I could add a little shoulder flounce. That would be just perfect on this. So yeah, thinking forward to next season as well. I like a pattern to be versatile and to be able to keep going with it. I'm also very impressed that there's no gaping at all. No gaping. That needs to come down. I think the next day that I've got to do some sewing, I'm going to be able to whip this dress up. It's going to take me a while to cut it though, I think, because I'm going to have to orientate it to get my plaid how I want it to be. So that might be a pain, and we're going to just hope it all fits. Fingers crossed for that. Isn't the light in this room beautiful, Riley? Hey? Isn't it beautiful light? Oh, there's all those beautiful colours outside. It's lovely. Oh, I love late afternoon light. It's all dappled from the trees out there. You want to see? You want to share my carrot cake? Yeah? I did my pattern, so now I can cut it out next time. I've got a free minute. I've got a cold nose. Are they buttons? You love buttons, don't you? Yeah? You are lovely, aren't you? You're a lovely girl. What should we go and do? We've done colouring. Should we do some puzzles? We've done some washing, haven't we? We did some washing. I'm going to put the bedding on, fresh bedding. Well, I got fresh bedding. How's your bedding looking? Yeah, it's been a while. You should probably do your own bedding as well. I'm just saying, no judgment if you don't want to do it, but you know, it's getting time. You're going to try and rip them off. Rip them off. Hey, they don't like. No. Yes, I agree. No. Oh, do you know what I found on Prime? I found this book animated. We've run out of Wi-Fi. Not run out. That's as if it would run out. But it's gone away. The Wi-Fi's gone. What are we going to do? I was looking forward to watching the animation of Zog. What's that? Oh yeah, we'll take you out your sleep sack. Oof.
Yeah. I can hear you. I can hear you.